I want to tell you a story. On April 18, 1999, police entered Christopher Casey's apartment and found something sinister. There were different theories to what might have happened there, but his friends and family believed this was the doing of a witch. Before I tell you this story, and you're joining me for the first time, I want to welcome you to the dark past, where you will be enjoying amazing true stories from the past and from around the world. So please do sit back, relax, and enjoy today's story. Christopher's journey begins in the vibrant city of Seattle, where he has carved out a successful career in the music industry. At 35 years old, he exudes confidence and charm, admired by colleagues and friends alike for his dedication to his work and his passion for ancient Egyptian music. Despite his thriving professional life, Christopher's personal world is tinged with loneliness. He remains single, his nights spent immersed in the haunting melodies of a bygone era rather than seeking companionship. His love for ancient Egyptian music serves as both a solace and a sanctuary, transporting him to the realm where time holds no sway. On April 11, 1999, on a business trip to San Francisco with his colleagues, they all decided to go out for dinner that night, and one of his co-workers brings along a friend that lives in the area who is an older woman, very attractive, soft-spoken, and good-looking. She was about 20 years older than Christopher. Christopher's world will collide with this mysterious woman, a chance encounter that sets in motion a chain of events that will forever alter the course of his fate. The woman, older and enigmatic, shares Christopher's passion for ancient music, igniting a spark of connection between them. Their conversation, initially laced with camaraderie and shared interest, all night they were chatting and really got into each other, but it takes a disconcerting turn as the woman's intention became clear. She was now looking at Chris from a romantic angle and wanted him to accompany her to her place. Despite Christopher's polite refusal, telling her he has had a long night and would just love to go home and call it a day, the woman persists, her insistence bordering on aggression. From being this friendly, flirtatious person, her mood changed to anger and hate, and she said to him,
"I'm a witch and I'm going to cast a spell on you. You will be dead in a week from now." Sensing danger, Christopher retreats, but the encounter leaves a lingering sense of unease in its wake. Upon his return to Seattle, Christopher calls his lifetime friend Sammy to share this bizarre experience with her, and after they were done chatting, he hangs up the phone. For the next 24 hours, he will fall back to his normal routine and nothing out of the ordinary happened. But his life will take a dark and inexplicable turn on the night of April 13th of that year. Christopher, who lives alone, gets into bed that night, and before he falls asleep, he hears whispering coming from outside of his bedroom in the kitchen area near the front door. He thinks to himself, like, I didn't just hear a whisper. No one's here with me. What's going on? And soon it all stops. So he thought maybe he's just hearing things that weren't here or there. And as he tries to fall back to sleep, he starts hearing whispers again, but this time they were coming from the very room he was in. As he gets up to investigate, thinking maybe someone broke into his house, he opens the door and pokes his head out. Then the whispers stop. He's standing there, looking around and wondering what's going on, when suddenly, from his peripheral vision, he sees a dark figure dashing across the room. He turns to look where
the figure went to, but didn't see nothing, only to hear the whispers coming from somewhere else in the house. That night, he had slept. As he went from room to room, searching the whole apartment, but found nothing. This kept going on every night. Whispers filled the air of his apartment, echoing through the empty rooms like the murmurs of restless spirits. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, elusive and ephemeral, leaving him questioning his sanity. Night after night, Christopher's torment intensifies. His once peaceful sanctuary transformed into a battleground of fear and paranoia. Desperate for answers, he turns to his friend Sammy for solace, only to find her reassurances ringing hollow in the face of his escalating terror. Sammy later on told the police that he was totally panicked, that it's so weird to determine that Christopher is scared of noises and figures moving around his apartment because it's so unlike him. He is like a no-nonsense guy, so the idea that he will be terrified of something paranormal running around his apartment is so much unlike him. But listening to Christopher on the phone, he was definitely scared about what was in his apartment. He knew it wasn't a person because he looked everywhere. And the only reason he didn't call the police is because he didn't know how to tell them that some shadow figure that's been whispering in his apartment is harassing him. On the night of 15th, Chris gets in bed. He has barely slept for 2 consecutive nights and he is determined to just go to bed and sleep, trying to convince himself that everything he had experienced in the past was due to stress from lack of sleep. Determined to just lay in bed and sleep. Eventually, he falls asleep, only to wake up in the middle of the night, not being able to move his body. He is paralyzed. Fully awake, he starts hearing whispering. His level of fear rose so high because he is immobile. The whispering was coming from outside his room, then stops. Starts coming from inside his closet and then stops. And then he hears the whispering right underneath his bed and he cannot move. Then suddenly, from underneath his bed, right next to him, he can only turn his eyes. He sees a shadowy black figure emerging right next to his bed and it's looking down right at him, hovering over him, reaches down, puts his hand around his neck and begins to thrust on him. Chris is gagging, he can't do it, and suddenly the shadowy black figure begins to lift him off his bed by the neck and then throws him back down and the figure vanishes. Chris still can't move. He's struggling to breathe, but he can't move and he's just waiting there for the thing to come back. And he knows that more than likely whatever this is probably going to kill him this night. Laying in bed, waiting for his return, which never happens, he eventually falls asleep. The next morning, he felt pain around his neck and he realized that there were bruises around his neck. Thinking to himself, maybe this strange woman he met in San Francisco did really put a curse on him, so fearing for his life, he embarks on a desperate quest for protection, scouring religious texts and occult stores for talismans to ward off the malevolent forces that assail him. His apartment became a fortress of swords and crucifix, a last stand against the encroaching darkness that threatens to consume him. But even those desperate measures prove futile against the relentless onslaught of the unknown. On the night of April 16, that's the very day that he fortified his apartment, we have no record of what happened to Chris, but something scared him really badly that in the middle of the night, in a full panic, he runs out of his apartment and checks into a hotel and stays there for the night. The next day, Chris tries to call Sammy's landline, but she wasn't answering, so he left a voicemail telling her that he was defeated and he was sure he was going to die. She tries calling him back, but he wasn't answering, so she called the police to go do a welfare check on her friend Chris. The police go over to his apartment, but the doors were locked. So they tell her that they couldn't do anything and she could call back in a couple of days if things still remain the same. On the morning of April 18th, Christopher didn't show up for work. So Sammy called the police again, urging them to please go back and check on him that he didn't show up to work. So the police went to his apartment again, and this time his doors were unlocked. When they entered his apartment, they were met with a strange scene. There were crucifixes on the wall in every room, swords that lined every room in the house, different kinds of candles burned down to the wick, and little scraps of papers all over the wall in the apartment that had handwritten notes in them, like some kind of incantations to ward off spirits and demons. They yelled out his name, but there was no answer. As they went around the apartment from room to room, they found Christopher's lifeless body in his bathtub with no water in the tub, and he was fully clothed. A haunting testament to the inexplicable horrors he endured in his final days. Despite the coroner's ruling of death by natural causes, questions linger in the minds of Christopher's loved ones. Was he truly the victim of a malevolent cause, as some believed, or did his tormented mind conjure horrors beyond comprehension? The story of Christopher Case stands as a chilling reminder of the thin veil that separates the known from the unknown, the rational from the irrational. In the shadowy recesses of the human psyche, mysteries abound, their answers forever elusive to those who dare to seek them. This brings us to the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a like and share it, which encourages me to bring you more interesting stories like this from around the world. And I don't know what media you are watching this with, but you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you, see you next time, and bye for now.